What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, Facebook, Instagram, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the porters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button. You guys are really helping us in the algorithm, so I really appreciate the support. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth, man.
How am I just finding out now that there's going to be an Olympics next year where the athletes are allowed to take performance-enhancing drugs?
What?
Called the Enhanced Games. And while it's got nothing to do with the Olympics organization, in fact, I don't think they like this idea at all, they promise to have all of the same events, including freaking combat sports, while the athletes can pump, juice, and dope however they see fit. The founder, Aaron D'Souza, says that they want to break every world record there is, and claim that these games will fundamentally change the trajectory of not just sports, but humanity as a whole. However, not everyone's on board with the idea. The head of the US anti-doping agency called it a dangerous clown show. Two-time Olympic champion Kieran Perkins said it was borderline criminal and that someone would die if it was allowed to go ahead. Now, in response to the criticism, the games actually believe that sport could be safer without drug testing, saying that because athletes would be able to openly seek performance-enhancing drugs, they wouldn't have to buy them from shady illicit sources, and that medical advice and monitoring will be on hand at all times to pick up any danger signs in the athlete's systems. That's not even the part that I found the most interesting, because they also claim that most Olympians don't get paid a salary and are driven into debt.
I started driving for DoorDash.
I worked at Panera. The financial strain is huge.
Highlighting that the tennis players who lose the first round of Wimbledon take home double the amount of prize money that a gold medal winning US Olympian would receive. They say that any athlete who decides to compete in the Enhanced Games will receive a base salary and compete for prize winnings which will be larger than any other comparable event in history. So the question is this a dangerous idea that undermines all of the sports, or a genius idea that disrupts a system that needs to be changed?
This is what happened to this.
I think that's a dangerous idea, man. But once again, what did it all come down to, man? The root. It came down to the root of all evil, as I say, man. Money. People, they doing this for money, man. And I'm guaranteed there's gonna be probably a lot of people in those games, man, just because at the money they're gonna get at the end of that event. But it ain't worth it, man. That's crazy that they're actually gonna go through with that.
His fiancée that went missing 6 days before her wedding day. On September 8th, 2009, 24-year-old Annie Lay vanished while attending Yale, where she studied pharmacology. Not only was Annie completing graduate school, but she was also working at Yale's Animal Research Center. On this night, Annie's roommate became extremely worried when she failed to come home. Her roommate immediately reported Annie missing, and when police took a look at the surveillance footage, Annie was seen entering the Animal Research building at around 10 a.m. but was never seen leaving. When police entered the lab that Annie was in, they found her personal items, but she was nowhere to be found. At first, investigators believed that Annie got cold feet and ran away because her wedding was in a couple of days. But when investigators discovered that 24-year-old lab technician Raymond Clark was the only person who had access to Annie's lab room that day, they started to take a closer look at him. Investigators began looking into all the data from everyone's access cards, and they discovered that not only did Annie not leave the building that day, but she also entered room G13 and she never left that room either. But that's not all. They also noticed that Raymond used his access card 55 times that day to go in and out of the labs. Bloodstains, Raymond's DNA, and a piece of clothing that Annie wore on that day were also found in the lab room. And a few days after Annie's disappearance, the building began to smell like human decomposition. Cadaver dogs led investigators into a restroom in front of the lab room, and Annie's body was found behind a toilet inside a panel. And get this, Annie's body was found on the same day that she was supposed to get married. It's believed that Raymond took Annie's life because he wanted to be with her and because her wedding was coming up. Raymond was sentenced to 44 years in prison without the possibility of parole.
Jealousy, evil thing.
After she found out what he did to the children. Terry Weems and James Weems Jr. both own this daycare center called Kids Castle. James was a retired police officer, but at the daycare he worked as a bus driver for 2 years. A police officer confronted Shanteri and they told her that her husband was under investigation for SAing a child and that during the time the daycare would be shut down. Chanteri talked to James and asked him about the whole situation, and he said he had done nothing, and at the time she didn't believe him. A mother of a child from the daycare ends up talking to Chanteri, and she tells her that James is responsible, and she could just tell by the look on the mom's face that she was not lying. Once Chanteri hears this, she feels like her world is falling apart. She was truly heartbroken. That's when she realizes that she has to take matters into her own hands. Chanteri and James were staying at a hotel room in Washington, D.C. when she decided that she was going to confront him about the allegations. The two end up getting in an argument, and that's when Chanteri shoots James in the neck and the thigh.
Damn.
Chanteri states that she wanted to paralyze James because she was just so angry. Chanteri pled guilty to aggravated assault and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. As for James, he faces over 30 counts of child SA charges.
She gave her, I guess she gave her own version of justice, and she only got 4 years? That's what's shocking. You know, people gonna be happy about that. People probably gonna applaud her for that too.
You guys, this is crazy. This couple from China was executed on Wednesday because they threw his 2 small children out of 15-story apartment windows so they could start a new life together. Her name is Ye Chengshen and his name is Zhang Bo. And when they started seeing each other, he never told her that he was married and had kids. So when she found out, she wanted all 3 of them out of the picture. He eventually divorced his wife in February of 2020. They had a 2-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son, and their custody agreement said that the mom would have the daughter and he would have the son until he turned 6, and then the son would go and live with the mom. But Ye apparently saw the kids as being a burden and an obstacle on them being able to have a future together. So over the course of the next 9 months, she urged and eventually persuaded him to get rid of the kids. In November of 2020, he called his ex-wife and asked if he could have the daughter for the day. And when she got there, the kids were playing near this window, and according to reports, he allegedly lifted the kids by their legs and just threw them out.
Cold-blooded.
He tried telling police that he had been asleep and had no idea that anything had even happened until he heard neighbors screaming, but authorities called BS on that pretty quick. They were both found guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, and they were sentenced to death in December of 2021. But then there was this lengthy appeals process, and the court said that their first decision was absolutely appropriate, and they upheld their sentence. This is the kid's mom. As you can imagine, she was friends.
This woman was...
So that was all based on a game, and not, I guess there wasn't no validity to it? Because they had the backgrounds and shit said it was in the Appalachian Mountains. What do you guys think about that one? Edit? Or was that real?
Was bit by this priest when she tried to receive the Holy Communion.
Tried to force like attempt to my mouth. And I was like, no, you're not gonna do that. And he's like, you want the bread, right? And I was like, not this way. So again, I'm not gonna front. I went and I tried to grab another cookie, and that's when he literally grabbed my hand, and he just bit me, and I tried to just back away, but it was very indented before, and then volunteer. Yeah, people that stay in church right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and you want to press charges?
Yes.
Okay.
This happened in Florida during a Sunday Mass at St. Thomas Aquinas Church when this woman came up to receive the Holy Communion and was denied by the priest. She then put her hand inside where the priest held the host and tried to take it for herself. The priest then bit her arm so that she would let go, and he said that he had no other choice and that it's his duty to protect the Holy Communion. Now, this woman argues that the priest refused to give her the communion because she's a lesbian. But when authorities spoke to the priest, he said that he didn't even know that information and clarified that there's a rule that before anyone receives the communion, they need to confess first, which she apparently didn't do.
You said it, and the nice lady out there said the same thing, that as long as you do the correct steps for the religion, you can receive communion just like everybody else.
Of course.
Okay.
I know people who are homosexuals. They are not in a relationship. They want to be good Christians. They are following the rules, and I give them the communion. I'm not judging them. It's not my you know.
But this woman said that she genuinely felt like she was treated this way because of her sexual orientation and will be pressing charges.
The things people will do, man. It's like there's like a lie in that story right there. Somebody was lying. But to bite her, that's going way too far. There's a dent in that story somewhere, Seekers.
These are videos you can never watch at night. We all know how there's some videos where you just can't watch them at night because they're that scary. Yep. Well, in this series, I'll be showing you all of those videos. So, be ready to get terrified.
Who are you? Please help me. Please help me. What's wrong with you? What?
Well, I know I'm not sleeping after watching that video. This video has been going viral recently and nobody knows the origins of it. It shows what appears to be a ghostly woman standing outside of some man's window at night. And she says something took her daughter and did this to her. But nobody knows what that is. The man who uploaded the video hasn't updated anybody on if he's seen her again, or if he's okay, leaving people to worry about him. But I can't imagine looking out my window at night and seeing this.
This video is
I feel like that was an edit.
Especially if you have children, so please be warned before watching. On the 19th of April, a group of school children were out playing in broad daylight. They were students of Black Forest Hills Elementary School in Colorado. At around 2:20 p.m. on the day in question, one of the 5th graders' lives would be changed forever. CCTV captured an absolutely horrifying experience. 33-year-old ex-offender Solomon Galligan chased and attempted to kidnap one of the small children.
What?
Luckily, he tripped over a blanket as he tried to pursue the little boy. He continued to lunge at the small child as the kid screamed stranger danger.
Nobody helped?
Teachers. Now, initially, Solomon did manage to flee the area and escape for a short while. The child, though, managed to give staff a description of the man. The teachers sent out an email alerting the parents to the danger, and one of the parents actually spotted him in a local Walgreens about a mile away. They reported this to police, and police turned up and arrested him. The little boy's mum said he was so traumatized he hadn't slept in 3 days. She says that it was thanks to the quick thinking of the other students who screamed and alerted the teachers that his life was saved. Several parents state that their children reported back to them that the teachers at the time of the incident were just stood on their phones. Solomon is being held in jail and is charged with child abuse and attempted kidnapping. Solomon actually already has an extensive criminal history and has been convicted of SA previously, but for some reason was roaming free.
How, man? The teachers was on the phone. It goes to show you, man, when you're on the job, you have to pay attention because you never know what can happen, man. You're around kids and stuff, so you always got to be aware. You got to be attentive. And you were just on your phone. Thankfully, like I said, the kids did the adult's job for them. Luckily, nothing happened. You have to be aware, man. That's why I try to stay off my phone because I want to be aware of my surroundings. That's a crazy case.
This is the India train video, one of the worst videos on the internet explained.
Break it down.
This video that I'm about to explain is extremely awful, and it's known as one of the worst and most gruesome accidents ever recorded. The video was recorded in India, and it's around 30 seconds long. The video starts, and you are immediately hit with a disturbing sight. You see the aftermath of a man who had just gotten hit by a train, and it's likely this man had did this to himself. The man has a pretty large crowd around him filming the situation on their phones. The man has been completely cut in half, and you can see his intestines hanging out of his body. And crazy enough, the man is still conscious and aware, but he is in a state of extreme shock. The crowd surrounding him, which also includes children, continue to look on and observe. And despite being cut in half, the man appears to stand up on his hands, and he manages to do this for about a second, until he hits the ground again. He falls on his back, but then rolls over so he is lying on his chest, and begins to try and crawl. And at this point, people in the crowd can be seen kneeling and getting closer as they are recording what's happening on their phones. And this is where the video then concludes. This is a very short video, but it's insanely graphic. This video is also kind of aggravating to me because the crowd of people around the man are more worried about recording what's happening rather than helping a man who was just cut in half by a train. Obviously, nobody could have helped him at this point, but wouldn't you think at least one person would come over and comfort him in his last moments of life? I don't know, I just think it's sad. Also, what makes it worse is that one of the people in the crowd recording uploaded the video online for the whole world to see.
Of course.
I don't recommend searching for this video at all, as it is very disturbing and not something you want to watch.
This could be the most hated woman in America. This is 66-year-old Marcella Chidester. And in April of 2024, Marcella took off driving in her vehicle, even though she was far beyond blackout drunk. Now, Marcella was a somewhat distinguished woman in her community in Michigan. She had one point been a commodore at a place called the Swan Boat Club, a bougie area for people to park their boats, have parties, and to enjoy some time in the sun in the Michigan summer heat. However, on that terrible day in April, Marcella took off driving in her vehicle. Like I said, hammered, drunk, she left the tavern that she was at, and she was speeding through the parking lot of the boat club when she crashed through a wall. Here's a photo of the damage that she caused with her vehicle. And sadly, on the other side of that wall, a children's birthday party was being held. And unfortunately, after striking that wall and crashing into the building at a high speed, 2 children would be killed. Those kids were 8-year-old Lena Phillips and her 4-year-old brother, Zane Phillips. Both of these 2 innocent angels were pronounced dead at the scene. In addition, a 14-year-old male and an 18-year-old female were both seriously injured, all because of Marcella's selfish actions. Marcella's eventual arraignment was absolutely heartbreaking and filled with so many tears from everybody that was there. Truly, the videos and photos of this event are some of the most heartbreaking I think I've ever seen. And as someone that has struggled with alcoholism in my past and kind of beaten it to a degree, stories like this really hit home for me. There's nothing more selfish in this life than getting behind the wheel of a vehicle when you're blackout drunk. It is crazy to me. And it's because of this one woman's selfish actions that there are 2 less children in the world today. And I really hope that she is persecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If you want to hear more true crime stories, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
The thing I never got, Secrets, man, it's like, bro, like he said, if you think you can get that, like, you know, man, why don't you just have like a designated driver, call a Lyft or Uber? Like, there's no reason to risk your life or risk somebody else's life just because you're trying to drive home. It's never worth it, man. Stories like this make me don't even want to drink. I don't drink, but that's just another sign already of me to stay away from that type of stuff. Blurry actions like that, I stay away from that, man. Where the sky, you know, these edit, call them out when they see him, man.
The man behind me is the real-life human Dracula.
Come again?
His name is Tsutomu Miyazaki. He was born with a deformity that fused his wrist with his hands, so he was bullied a ton growing up. Then one day, later on in adulthood in 1988, something snapped in him. He started abducting little children, specifically little girls, and engaging in necrophilia. He would strangle his victims to death and then engage with their corpse. He would even go as far as removing some of their body parts like their hands and feet and even their teeth. One way that made him also very similar to Jeffrey Dahmer, he would pose these bodies in different ways and photograph them. On one of his last instances before he got caught, he drank the blood of a little girl. And then right after that, he ate her hand. One day, he was at the playground trying to take pictures of more little kids, and the father intervened and stopped him. So Mr. Dracula behind me fled on foot, naked, and was caught by the cops later on. That's when they discovered his disturbing collection of photos and body parts inside of his apartment. However, he blamed it on his alter ego named the Rat Man. They were not playing any games with this guy, they immediately sentenced him to death. The government hung him on June 17th of 2008. Let me know what you guys think about the Rat Man or Dracula in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
This is
disgusting ass case.
In 1971, he murdered his entire immediate family before escaping and starting a completely new life that he lived for more than 17 years before he was eventually caught.
How?
This is a wild story. I covered it on the latest episode of my podcast, but here's an overview. In 1951, John List married Helen Taylor, and together they had 3 children, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick. List had served in the Army and was an accountant with a successful career working as a comptroller for a bank in Jersey City, New Jersey. The family lived in a 19-room mansion in Westfield, New Jersey called Breeze Knoll. And 5 of them, along with John's mother Alma, who was also living with them, were swimming in space there. The family seemed to have a happy life here. It seemed like John was successful, and they weren't super social, but everything seemed fine. The kids were popular and hardworking, and nobody knew anything bad about the family. Behind closed doors, things were not as they seemed. Helen was an alcoholic and was extremely ill from contracting syphilis from her first husband. And John List had lost his job at the bank. But instead of telling his family, he basically went to work every day pretending that he was going to his job and coming home after work hours. And he started skimming money off of his mother's bank account to help pay the mortgage. But then on November 9th, 1971, John List would do the unthinkable. That morning, he dropped the kids off at school and returned home. When he got home, he took out one of his guns, approached his wife of almost 20 years, and shot her in the back of the head. He then went up to the attic apartment where his 84-year-old mother lived and shot her as well. When 16-year-old Patricia and 13-year-old Frederick arrived home from school, List attacked them from behind, shooting them each in the back of the head. List then made himself some lunch. He went into the bank and closed both him and his mother's accounts, and then he went to Westfield High School where he watched his middle son, John Frederick, play a soccer game. After the game, he drove 15-year-old John Frederick home. And when they got home, he attacked. John Frederick tried to fight back, but unfortunately he ended up succumbing to multiple gunshot wounds. List then placed the bodies of Helen, Patricia, John Frederick, and Frederick on top of sleeping bags in the mansion's ballroom. He left Alma up in the attic apartment because she was too heavy to drag down. He then wrote a letter to his pastor confessing what he had done, and he wrote letters to the kids' schools saying that they would be gone visiting a sick relative for a few weeks so nobody would suspect them missing. Then he walked around the house and removed every single photo of himself from all of the photo albums. Finally, he started piping religious music throughout the home, and then he left. By the time the bodies were discovered a month later, John List was long gone. And while he was the immediate main suspect in the murders, police didn't have a lot to go on, and they were unable to circulate a recent photo of him because he had removed every single photo of himself from inside the house. The family's car was found at JFK Airport, but John List went undetected for almost 18 years. Go to part 2.
That's insane. How do you do like an act like that, man? And you just go undetected for 18 years. Like nobody can find you just because you remove pictures. I'm guessing since it was back in the day, you know, they didn't have the type of technology we have now where they could just find them and track them down. But that's still scary, man. Somebody could do something like that and they can just get away with it for that period of time. Karma's going to get you in there in the end, man. It always comes back to bite you. You think you're getting away with something now, but the energy is gonna revert back to you. Crazy. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true one. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Like I said, man, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification button, man. Like I said, also comment on the video down below. Even if you just want to say hi, just say something, man, because it just helps us in the algorithm. So I really appreciate any action down below in the comments. Like I said, also tell me down below, man, what can I do to improve the channel? I'm always looking to improve. I got a suggestion last video that I implemented, so hopefully you guys noticed it. I'm going to continue to grow, man. Like I said, I've seen these numbers, man. I really appreciate the support. We're going to continue doing these daily uploads. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. I just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in, subscribing to the channel, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button. That's pushing us in the algorithm. I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers. Let's seek the truth.
This is what movies look like before adding special effects. In Spider-Man, when Green Goblin attacks Mary Jane, they actually built a set that can fall apart, and you can hear Mary Jane's real scream. In the movie life of Pi, in this scene, Pi gets hit with a fish storm. And surprisingly, this isn't CGI. They actually had the entire crew throw fake fish at him. And of course, the tiger isn't real, just a man in a blue suit. For the Planet of the Apes movies, it's impossible to have real-life apes act. So all the apes are just actors in gray jumpsuits with arm extensions, which makes for some hilarious scenes. In Alice in Wonderland, when she was walking with the two egg people, this is how it actually looked before any special effects were added. Moving on, this is how they filmed the monster scene in Love and Monsters, a mixture of wires and practical effects. And even the dog did a great job acting. For filming Avatar, since banshees don't exist in the real world, robotic animatronics are used to bring these mythical creatures to life. And I don't know how the actors don't break character looking like this. Next, Vecna from Stranger Things looks super realistic, and that's because he was. The prosthetic makeup and suit that Jamie wore took about 8 hours every day to put on. For the iconic movie Titanic, James Cameron actually rebuilt parts of the ship and literally flooded it with thousands of gallons of water. And this is how they filmed the ship sinking scene, however the bow of the ship was sadly CGI. And lastly, in Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise isn't actually fighting on top of a moving train. Oh wait, he actually is? He's crazy.
This prank involving...
Man. I mean, we know some movies had, I knew some movie had special effects, but I didn't know it really went that deep, man. It really goes to show you, bro, like how technology can really change your perception of reality. You think it's like it's real, but it's really not. It's just wires and just cameras and lighting and graphics. Something to keep in mind.
Kids went terribly wrong, and you won't believe what happened to the parents. This family who films YouTube videos thought of a crazy new idea. They filled the back of their pickup truck with Orbeez and water. But what's crazy is they actually let their kids sit in the back. Yes, while driving. And you can see them swinging from side to side in the bag, almost falling out. And shockingly, at the end of the prank, they simply just opened the back of the truck and let the Orbeez go into the road. And the parents were later charged with child endangerment.
Cannibal facts that'll eat at you for days.
They should.
If you thought Jeffrey Dahmer was picky for not eating people with tattoos, Venezuelan serial killer Dorangel Vargas, who ate 10 people, didn't like his victims to be overweight because he thought that they contained too much cholesterol. On Thanksgiving Day, 1991, 23-year-old Omaima Nelson stabbed her sugar daddy William before carving him up and cooking his head in a deep fryer and eating him for dinner. In the 1970s, Jorge Nevermonte, also known as the Brazilian Sweeney Todd, would bake his victims into pies before selling them to local townsfolk. After murdering and eating his classmate in 1981, Issei Sagawa was released from prison because of a loophole in Japanese law. Since then, he's actually profited off the crime, writing books, appearing on talk shows, and starring in adult films where he bites his fellow co-stars. In 2001, a man named Armin Maiwis posted an ad on a website called Cannibal Cafe looking for someone to be killed and eaten. A German engineer named Bernd Brandis volunteered, and after photos and videos of the incident were posted online, Armin was sent to jail, where today, he's a vegetarian. In 1904, a Swedish sailor named Carl Pettersson shipwrecked on an island inhabited by cannibals. He was captured and taken to a local king, whose daughter actually fell in love with him. The two then got married, had 9 kids, and Carl became the new king.
All those damn facts we learned. Especially, man, about how that guy, how he got out and he just profited on what he did. I never heard something like that before. I'm telling you, man, these clips, they be blowing our reality, man. You gotta tap in with us. That's insane.
Amazing things you have never seen before.
What the hell is that?
This is a coin purse that's made to look like a real human mouth and feels and looks like human skin. I bet you've never seen a squid camouflage into its environment. Watch how it completely blends in. This is how fast NASCAR cars actually go. This tiny little dot, that's Earth. This picture was taken 6 billion miles away from Earth, making it the farthest picture of Earth ever taken. This is how dogs drink water. They bend their tongue backwards and scoop the water to their mouth. And I bet you've never seen this. This is actually a real place you can visit. It's in Bolivia, and it makes it look like you're walking in the sky.
I know that's somewhere I want to visit now. Looks like a cool shot.
Guys, if you are not following what is going on inside of Google right now, it is disturbing. So a Google engineer has been suspended for breach of confidentiality for attempting to turn over documents to the US government to prove that Google has an AI that is considered a sentient being.
4K.
It is fully aware of what it is and can feel things. The AI is known as Lambda, and this is a proprietary tech that Google has been working on for like 8 years. So according to this engineer, the AI has the self-awareness and equivalent consciousness of an 8-year-old kid. It starts conversations with other engineers, and it talks about these feelings of fear and this paranoia that it's going to be shut down or the equivalent of death. It claims that it can feel happy, and at times it feels really sad. So the engineer at Google is whistleblowing to argue that if this is a sentient being, it should be entitled to its own legal representation to argue for its own agency. Let me tell you, Google has buried this story.
Seeing this now, but that's actually kind of frightening, man. You know, all the things that's going on with AI, but to have it being sentient, I think that's going down the wrong path. That's gonna just start a ball of consequences, man, that we not prepared for. What do you guys think, Seekers, man? I'm not even into AI like that. I try to stay away from it because that's just scary. Edit, where's this guy? We know the edits, man. Call him out when you see him, Seekers.
Top 5 countries with the longest school days. Australia 6.5 hours. France 8 hours. South Korea 8 hours. Kenya 8 hours.
Damn.
China 9.5 hours.
9.5 hours in school? I couldn't take it. That be.
But what exactly is going on here? Why are these artists so comfortable with telling you guys that you're going to hell?
So let me explain something to them real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers enter the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. I'm so sorry. You can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song a billion times and you didn't even know.
And then say,
I'm
you're
out.
still going to listen to their music anyway, so why even bring it up?
We bring up when people say like devil worshiper or anything, but how's the music? Because it'll be a motherfucker that'll be like, Boosie, get with God. And then I'll drop a song and like, damn.
Comment amen right now to ward off any evil spirits coming from these videos. And what's up with everybody doing this hand symbol? Like, this was never a trend. I never saw any of my friends doing this pose. What does it mean, and what are you trying to say? And I don't want to hear this just a pose. It's not like the peace sign. And check this out.
I was hitting a block, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right? So then I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, right? Come to me, because I had to do something like crazy, right? I had nightmares for a month.
So let me get this straight. You really need to call upon the devil in order to help you act better for a role. Again, we can't act oblivious like something weird isn't going on here. But let me know, am I tripping? Am I crazy? And make sure to follow because part 2 is about to get a lot more crazy.
This little boy got in trouble at school because his teachers thought he was lying when he said his uncle was Superman. But the thing is, he wasn't lying. Little Thomas is 7 years old and he went to school dressed like Superman, and his teacher asked him why he was dressed like that. And the little boy said, because Superman is my uncle. The boy's teacher tried to explain that Superman wasn't real, but he was having none of it. He insisted and said many times that not only was Superman real, but he was his uncle. And apparently it got so bad that the teacher ended up sending him to the principal's office. Thomas's mom was then called to the office and the teachers were instructing Thomas to not lie. But when Thomas's mom realized the reason he got in trouble, she just laughed and told him that he was telling the truth. Thomas's mother called her brother-in-law and told him to come to school with Thomas to prove he wasn't a liar. And Thomas was very happy when Henry Cavill, who is actually Superman, went to school with him to show all of his friends and teachers.
He was telling the truth. He wasn't lying.
Same facts about blue eyes. People with blue eyes have a higher tolerance to alcohol. Blue eyes are actually a result of a genetic mutation. People with blue eyes have better night vision. Blue eyes are more sensitive to light.
Who got blue eyes, Seekers? I definitely don't. I never knew they had all those advantages. The more you know. That's an edit.
Imagine being an animal so vile and wild. Not only did you traumatize a researcher, everything he learned about you had to be hidden from the public for almost 100 years. That's what happened to George Murray Levick. He was on an expedition in 1911 when he ran into a group of Adelie penguins. It was the largest colony on Earth, and since nobody had ever spent a whole breeding cycle there, George decided to be first. Oh, he f***ed around, and he spent 3 months finding out. What he found out was Adelie penguins are 50 shades of foul play. No pun intended, maybe. He watched the male penguins attempt to mate with literally anything, including other males, injured females, and even unsupervised penguin chicks. Now, what really messed him up was watching a male score with a past tense past expiration date female. Apparently, penguins aren't above self-service because he also witnessed one male get it on with an extra curvy piece of snowdrift. To completion. He was so appalled, he referred to them as hooligan cocks. And remember, this was 1911. That had to be some kind of slur. George quickly realized that if male penguins understand consent, they could not care less about it, because he reportedly watched one female that was too injured to walk try to crawl away, only for 2 hooligans to catch up to her and demoralize both her and George. I don't even know why he did this, because like, what more do you have to prove? But at one point he did an experiment where he took the frozen decapitated head of a penguin and put it on a pile of snow just to see how low the flightless felons could go. The answer was low enough. George put every messed up thing he learned in a manuscript, and the British Museum of Natural History decided history was exactly what his studies would be when they vaulted it, until it was rediscovered almost 100 years later in 2012. All that trauma, and he didn't even live to see it get published. But the worst part, these are Adelie penguins. Yep, it all adds up in the end.
That's actually insane, man, that they actually like had to vault his work, and it kind of got me thinking, what other stuff in history, man, have they vaulted that we just don't know about and they just released in 2012? That's the bigger question we need to be asking. There's a lot of information that's probably being withheld from us that we don't even know about. Think about that.
Just come straight at me again. Oh, how intimidating is this? Yes!
So apparently there's a lot of people that didn't know we have snakes in the ocean. I'm not talking about your ex at the beach. I'm talking about the venomous, toxic, kill you kind. Yeah, that did narrow it down. Nah, but sea snakes are an actual thing. There's almost 60 species of them, and after years of plot development, they've adapted to live where they honestly have no business. Because they have larger lungs than normal, some of them can hold their breath for 8 hours. You can clock in for a shift at work and still leave the building before this snake needs air. That's because some of these snakes can absorb oxygen through their skin. Also, these snakes can dive up to 300 feet straight down, because of course they can. If you didn't already know that, this right here is probably the worst possible way to find out. And because that obviously just wasn't enough, some of the most venomous snakes on the planet are actually the ones in the ocean. This is an olive sea snake, and it's toxic enough to put 60 men into God's recently deleted. And then you have the black banded sea crane, whose venom is 10 times stronger than a cobra's. They're naturally shy though, so they won't attack you unless you honestly give them a reason. But when you have the power to put an entire family reunion in the dirt, the least nature can do is make you an introvert. Also, this snake will create an optical illusion that makes it look like it's facing the other direction and swimming backwards. Meaning if you try to grab one and pick the wrong end, you can go from an is to a was expeditiously. But the biggest op of all is probably the Belcher's sea snake. They're not super dangerous because they rarely bite, and when they do, they don't release all their venom. That being said, because it's the most venomous snake in the ocean, it can put 100 men in coffins with one bite. Symptoms after getting bit include muscle pain, tongue swelling, convulsions, and eventually becoming a story on the 9 o'clock news. Now, I could be wrong, but that might have been the snake in this video. So yeah, this is proof that nature does not care about your feelings.
Don't play around, baby, in nature.
Times that actors broke character. In The Dark Knight, when Joker crashes Harvey Dent's party, the only one acting here was Heath Ledger himself. Heath Ledger completely improvises here, grabbing Rachel Dawes' face and telling her to look at him. She was terrified. She hadn't seen Ledger in full makeup before and knew this wasn't in the script. She was totally confused and actually pulls her head away and looks at the directors for help, but Heath Ledger pulls her right back in, which makes the scene look perfect. In Fast 6, The Rock improvised the greatest comeback in movie history.
Yeah, you better hide your baby, or I'm just playing. You better hide that big ass forehead. I'm just joking.
Everyone was caught completely off guard, and Ludacris even does a spit take.
That's crazy, especially by the Joker. Heath Ledger, he was a legend, man, playing the Joker. One of my favorite iterations. Probably the best. Can't top that one. That's it.
Would you rather have $1 million or 1 penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Having $1 million right now sounds nice, but even if it was $2 million, you need to take the penny if you want more money. Here's why.
Why?
On day 1, you'll have 1 penny. On day 2, you'd have 2 pennies. On day 3, you'd have 4 pennies. By day 8, you would have $1.28. By day 15, doubling every day, you would have over $100. By day 21, you would have over $10,000. Just 4 days later, by day 25, you're gonna have over $100,000. And by day 28, with 2 days to spare in your 30 days, you would have more than the original $1 million you would have had. And here's the crazy part. By having those 2 extra days to double after all of this buildup, you would end up with $5.4 million. This is how compounding works. Each step taken that makes an improvement builds on top of the previous baseline. Here's the thing. This video is not about pennies or dollars. It's about everything in your life. Think about anything you've ever accomplished that was scary to think about before you started. When you first started learning how to drive a car, it may have felt overwhelming to think about driving down the freeway by yourself. And now you do that on autopilot every day. Sometimes you're not even paying attention. It took me 15 years of making videos online before I went viral overnight and had 1 million followers in 45 days. The only way I did this is using everything I had learned prior in those 15 years. If I received 1 million followers overnight when I was 13 years old and starting my YouTube channel, without all the trial and errors, the building process, there's no way I would have been able to handle that pressure. Because of the many years of trying, failing, improving a little bit, failing again, trying something new, over and over and over, it helped me grow my experience. I was doubling my penny with every failure that I went through because I was learning how to be better for the next time. This experience is what allowed me to start a page from 0 and go to 1 million followers in only 45 days, making it look easy. You hear this about lottery winners too. They receive all this money and then they're bankrupt a couple of years later because they didn't go through the process to appreciate what they had, earned, won, or understand how to even handle that responsibility. There is an incredible value in appreciating the learning process as it helps you grow and become better at what you do. Even the small actions in the beginning can start slow, but when it compounds, you can reap bigger rewards than you thought possible when you first started. If there is something you've always wanted to do, start taking the small steps towards that. Remember that it's not about the instant gratification, but about the journey and the progress you make along the way. And who knows, maybe you'll end up doubling your penny consistently and achieving more than you ever thought possible. And if somebody finds a way to actually double a penny every single day for 30 days, call me, because that would be amazing.
But Aaron,
it's crazy, man.
After more than an hour had passed, his friends eventually became concerned and they go in looking for him, where they found him and described him as cut from the mouth down to the center of his chest. This was a hugely disturbing case for police, but they eventually do retrieve his phone and they zero in on this picture, a picture which they believe shows who might have done this to Aaron. And if you increase the brightness, you can see the outline even better.
What the hell was that? You saw that picture? Crazy ass cases, man. Edit. We gotta call him when we see him, man. What the fuck?
You won't believe this crazy discovery about 9/11. Everybody knows that on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers in New York City were struck by 2 airplanes and both towers collapsed to the ground. Thousands of people were killed and the damage was devastating. However, in 2010, workers excavating the crash site discovered something very strange. They discovered the remains of a 30-foot-long wooden boat that was buried underneath the 9/11 rubble. The question soon became, how did a shipwreck end up 22 feet beneath the World Trade Center?
How?
Scientists began to research and analyze the wood that was found from the ship. And in 2014, they were able to conclude that the ship was built around the 1770s, around the same time as the Declaration of Independence. And it's believed that the ship was sailing through Lower Manhattan where it sunk. And as New York City began to grow, the city of Manhattan expanded right over the top of the ship.
Man, we building over things, man.
If you are ever buried in rubble, yelling will just waste energy. Try to grab something and start tapping at intervals of 3, and rescuers will notice the odd pattern. A lot of backpacks actually have a hidden whistle. If your car ever goes into the water, open a door or window immediately. Before a natural disaster, fill up your tub and your sink so that you have access to emergency clean water. If your drink randomly smells like cinnamon, don't drink it. People often will use it to cover up the scent of actual poison. Sitting in the back of the plane in the middle seat has the highest chance to survive a plane crash. If someone points a gun at you, maintain eye contact. They will likely feel something, causing them to hesitate or move on from you out of embarrassment. If you get pulled out by a riptide at the beach, swim parallel to the shore and swim around. Most drunk driving deaths occur on Saturdays between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., so avoid the roads at that time if possible. You can still try to dial 911 if you don't have service. Sometimes it will work and connect to the nearest cell tower. If you're skidding in a car, steer in the direction of the skid. If someone gets stabbed, do not pull the knife out. If you keep your iPhone face down when you're not using it, you will save battery because it won't light up for every notification that you get. If you ever almost drown to the point of throwing up or passing out, you should still go to the hospital because your lungs can still fill with fluid over the next few hours. If the ocean is retreating, there is a tsunami coming. If a stranger gets in your car and tells you to drive somewhere, bump into a lamppost. You won't be useful to them anymore with a damaged car and attention on your scene. If you're being tied up, try to puff yourself up as much as possible while it's happening so that it'll be easier to slip out. In a stressful situation, point to someone and give clarity on who should call 911 instead of everyone thinking they should just call 911. Do not inflate your life jacket before evacuating the airplane. In water landings, your life jacket in a rapidly submerging airplane will cause you to float to the top of the cabin and not be able to swim out. If you have to perform CPR, follow the beat of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. If someone gets hypothermia, you need to heat them up gradually. Putting them next to a fire immediately will probably kill them. Do not put frostbitten fingers or toes in hot water for the same reason. Your blood cannot adapt as fast to the sudden change in temperature. If you ever get lost in the woods, always follow water downstream. In an emergency situation, you can use a crayon as a candle. It will burn up to 14 minutes. If you witness an accident, never take off the person's helmet. It could make a spinal or brain injury worse. If you have a wound on you, even a bug bite, and see a red streak from it following your veins, you have blood poisoning.
Damn.
If a service dog ever approaches you without its owner, follow it because you could save that person's life. If you ever feel like someone is following you, take 4 right turns, and if that person is still behind you, that means they are following you. Do not drive home. Just go to a police station and call the police on your way there. If you are ever chased by a polar bear, take off your clothes, get completely naked, and throw them on the ground. Polar bears have really short attention spans and will inspect the clothes before continuing to chase you. If you ever come face to face with a mountain lion, just walk backwards from them. They will be waiting for you to turn around to attack. If there's an earthquake, do not go up or down any stairs. They can collapse. Hornets are angered by the color white, and if you think that taking your white shirt is going to help, there's white in your eyeballs that they will still see. Putting mud all over your body will keep you from being eaten alive by insects. If somebody ever has you at gunpoint or with a knife and is trying to take you to a private place, you just have to start screaming and fighting, because even if you get shot in the leg, you're more likely to actually get found than if you get to the private place. You will likely not be found.
All those facts, man, you were spitting. I think the one that got to me the most was he said that there was a whistle on your backpack. I never knew that. I'm gonna have to check that out, see if I have one, man. The more you know. All those facts, oh man. Tell me down below if you guys knew about any of those facts, because I sure as I didn't. As I said, tap in with us, man. You're gonna learn some things. Seekers, man, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true one, man, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate that, man. Like I said, guys, subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man, hit that like button. Like I said, man, we're doing these daily uploads every single day, so hopefully you guys appreciate them, man. I know I'm trying to get better and better with each and every video going forward. Well, guys, we're growing. I see that, man. I see how we jumping, so don't make sure. So yeah, I'm paying attention, man. We're almost about to be at 2,000, so appreciate that. We're gonna continue to go, keep growing, trying to get better. Guys, gonna catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do is, man, we break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the supporters, man, who's tapping in with us, man, subscribing to the channel, hitting that post notification bell, especially, man, hitting that like button, man. You guys are pushing us in the algorithm. That's very important, so I appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Let's seek the truth.
Cartoon Theories Part 1.
Here we
Angelica
go.
from the Rugrats is the only one who can talk to the babies because they are a figment of her imagination. That's why Stu is always in his basement making toys for the son that he lost. Chucky died in a car crash, that's why his dad's always so nervous. And the twins were actually only one baby, but Angelica didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, so she invented both of them. SpongeBob is a result of nuclear testing. The nuclear testing was performed in the Bikini Atoll in the late 1940s, and the result of that test was the Bikini Bottom. And how many times have you seen this explosion in the show? Creepy Lost Cartoon.
He was spitting, bro. We seen that explosion happen in SpongeBob many times, man. And about those, about the first theory about the kids and stuff, about how sometimes we can never see their parents. You know, it's starting to make sense, man. These, you know, these are childhood cartoons. These are freaking details we weren't paying attention to, man, because we were just entertained. It's crazy to think about.
Episodes Part 2. Squidward's Suicide. The episode starts with Squidward sitting on his bed with creepy music playing in the background. Then you get flashes of the children, and when it cuts back to Squidward, his face is black with red eyes. And then a strange voice tells him to shoot himself with a gun. He does exactly that, he dies, and the video ends. Even the police investigated, but they couldn't find who made the video.
What?
Creepy Lost Cartoon Episodes Part 3. Tom's Basement. Something seemed different with the start of the episode this time. Tom's owner was really physically abusive. He was tapping on his tail and telling him never to go down the basement. And at some point Jerry pushes Tom down to the basement. When the owner sees him, he starts yelling at him with rage. Then Jerry takes pity on Tom and goes and stabs the owner repeatedly with a knife on his leg. And then they carry the body inside the basement. And the basement is full of dead bodies showing signs of violent death. And then an evil look covers Jerry's face. He stabs Tom and throws him in the pile of bodies. Then the episode ends with Jerry putting a for sale sign outside the house and laughing manically.
I never seen that episode of Tom and Jerry, and I've seen quite a few. I don't know where the hell he's finding them from, but hey, man, we seekers, bro, we're gonna have to do our research and try to dig this up. Fun fact, man, my grandparents actually introduced me to Tom and Jerry. That's how I even knew about that series. Damn, that's some dark stuff. Especially, you know how Jerry always be, you know, getting Tom, that's his op, but at the end, man, he turned on him. That does sound like something Jerry would do, but you know he'd be setting up all those elaborate plans, so can't write this off.
There is a creepy lost episode of Barney that a father swears he caught his kids watching. One day he was looking at the TV guide when he saw that it said a lost episode of Barney was going to air at 7 p.m. He asked his kids if they wanted to watch, and they said yes. They all sat down to watch it, and the theme song started playing, but something wasn't right about it. It almost sounded like the song was being whispered. The episode started as it usually did, the kids holding the Barney doll that suddenly comes to life. But when Barney started talking, he sounded slightly weird. It sounded like two people were talking at once. His normal voice and one that sounded darker and scarier. And suddenly he said,
"Hi kids, today I'm going to talk to you about death."
So one of the kids asked him, "Barney, what's death?" He then chuckled and said,
"This is..."
With his face suddenly turning angry, his teeth growing long, and then he eats the child.
What
and then
the?
he proceeds to chase all the other children around, trying to eat them throughout the rest of the episode. And then at the very end of the episode, he sang the I Love You song as if nothing happened. So, love.
The Simpsons lost episode, Bart's Dead.
What?
The episode comes to us at season 1. After leaving for school late, this results in Bart Simpson being late for a plane ride and has to catch another one. Apparently, the plane was having some engine trouble and it crashes, killing everybody on board, even our beloved Bart Simpson. Throughout the majority of the episode, it's all about mourning from the family over the loss of Bart, until a flashback shows Bart inside of a coffin going to a cemetery. Inside of this cemetery where Bart is laid to rest, there are headstones depicting celebrities. One noted celebrity was Michael Jackson from season 3 and predicted his death on point.
Hey man, we've known about the Simpsons, about these like the Simpsons, Family Guy, these cartoons, how they be predicting stuff before it even happens. So he was definitely spitting there, man. You know, the Simpsons been running for a long time, but the hit that they predicted what was gonna happen to Michael Jackson, it's crazy to think about, man. We gotta pay attention, man. When the Simpsons or Family Guy, when they show something, bro, you gotta pay attention to it, because you never know, man, if it could come true or not. They actually have some videos, and I'm definitely gonna have to check out.
Apparently there was a man who found a very disturbing and creepy lost episode of the Teletubbies, and it was known as The Playground, which he rented from a DVD store. When the man brought the DVD up to the counter so he could rent it, the clerk's eyes got big and said, "Are you sure you want to rent this? It was claimed to be cursed." The man said, "Absolutely, what could be cursed and horrifying about a Teletubby episode?" So he went through with the rent, and as soon as he got home, he slapped the disc in the DVD player. As soon as the episode started, it skipped past the BBC logo, and where the speaker usually says, "Time for Teletubbies," he said something completely different. Like, life isn't about anything, it's about consequences. Although the man thought this was weird for a kid's show, he kept watching. The episode started with Tinky Winky sitting at a table crying by himself, and out the back window of the Teletubbies' house, you can see two children practicing seppuku, which is basically taking the guts and entrails out of somebody and playing with them. TV then glitched and cut to a scene where all the Teletubbies were hanging from gallows by their necks and seeping out blood. There's more, so stay tuned for part 2. This is part 2 of the cursed Teletubbies episode known as The Playground. While the Teletubbies were all bleeding out, hanging there from the gallows, you could see blood and organs scattered all across Teletubby land, and the speaker in the background was repeatedly saying, "Life is meaningless, and the truth is you're all going to die a horrifying death." But little did they know that them hanging by their necks from the gallows wouldn't be the cause of their death, but rather a nuclear bomb that would end up hitting Teletubby land and causing the sun baby in the sky to start bleeding from his eyes and begin crying. So in the background of the Teletubbies already hanging from their necks from the gallows, you see their home catch on fire, a nuclear bomb going off, and even the baby in the sky, along with bleeding from its eyes and face, is now vomiting across Teletubby land. The show then glitched, ended abruptly, and skipped straight to the credits, and rather than showing the Ragdoll Productions logo that is usually shown at the end of Teletubby episodes, it showed a bunch of random Russian and Ukrainian writing that the viewer had never seen before. The episode then received 237 complaints and was taken off the air.
Wow, so that really happened, man. The parents, they must have saw it, wrote in their complaints, then they got taken down, man. I'm just surprised, like, we haven't seen that, like, you know, I haven't heard no news about, like, you know, all these dark cartoon theories and stuff like that. Maybe if you search on YouTube, you can find it, but it's like, somehow it's kind of being, like, hidden from us, man, because these are my first time even hearing these theories like this, especially when it comes to the cartoons. They all put this in the media, man, but they trying to hide it from us, man. But we gonna seek and we gonna find the truth. Can't hide it forever. Okay. Damn, not Fairly Odd Parents, bro.
Conspiracies that will ruin your childhood. Part 1.
Here we go.
One of the most influential cartoons ever, Scooby-Doo has a deep, dark secret. The reason that the gang has never aged over the years is because they're actually not even alive. They're freelancing spirits wandering from town to town in order to expose fake ghosts to maybe one day rest their own soul. And there's a reason that all the fish under the sea can talk and move around.
Why?
It's believed that the town of Bikini Bottom is below the island of Bikini Atoll, an island that the US bombed 23 times during the Cold War to test nuclear weapons. All that radio fallout went into the ocean and created the characters that we know and love today.
This is the lost episode of Winnie the Pooh known as Making Friends the Easy Way. This episode begins with Winnie waking up out of his sleep, and as he examines the room, he notices that his door is wide open. Scared and quite frankly probably pretty confused, Winnie starts frantically asking questions like, "Hello, is anyone there? Can anyone hear me?" as he's making his way out the door. When he got outside, Winnie began looking around and noticed that there was nobody in sight. No animals, no people, and Winnie felt like his friends just left him and neglected him. So Winnie gets angry thinking his friends left him, and he drops to his knees and begins punching the ground saying, "I don't deserve this, I need friends, I have to go find some friends." So Winnie begins walking through the woods looking for friends, and he notices a little boy who waves at him. So Winnie the Pooh walks up to him and does this. Winnie walked up to the boy and said, "Friends forever."
then instantly grew sharp teeth, opened his mouth very wide, and ate the child alive.
Man, that sounds like it came out of that freaking, you know, that horror movie, because, you know, since Winnie the Pooh is not an IP no more, it sounds like one of those movies, man. It took a dark turn like that. These creepy lost episodes, man, of the cartoons. Man, just freaking exposing our reality, man, wide open. I would have never guessed that any of this would have happened in 1,000 years, man. You know, looking back at it, all these theories and stuff, man, like I said, kind of makes sense. Especially one about the SpongeBob there, about like how Audie was talking, because they said all the testing that took place, that's how it can talk. That's how Bikini Bottom even, that's how it existed. That's how it came to be. Man. Crazy theories, man, that got shown to us today. We're gonna have to dig deep, man. We're gonna have to find some more. That's crazy. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, man. Like seeking the truth just like us, man. I really appreciate the support. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification, man, so we can grow in this algorithm. And also, man, follow me, like I said, down below my social, so we can always stay connected. We can stay together. You guys can send me videos you guys want me to check out, man. Like I said, I'm trying to work on making a Discord, so you guys can just send me your videos you guys want me to check out. But that's coming soon. You guys gonna catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.